Imagine this. Cameras are rolling, lights are blazing, and the entire crew is holding its breath as one of Hollywood's biggest stars takes center stage. Suddenly something totally unexpected happens. Not a scripted twist, not a director's cue, but a real-life moment that has everyone gasping and laughing at the same time. Yes, we're talking about Anne Hathaway, the queen of poise and elegance. Facing a hilarious fall on the set of The Devil Wears Prada 2, but here's the kicker, her response was so epic. It instantly became the talk of the internet. The Devil Wears Prada isn't just a movie, it's a cultural touchstone. Released in 2006, it gave us iconic lines, unforgettable characters, and one of the most stylish portrayals of the fashion world ever seen on screen. Fans have been quoting Miranda Priestley's Cold-Blooded, "That's all" for nearly 2 decades. And of course, Anne Hathaway's portrayal of Andy Sachs, the bright, eager assistant trying to survive in the ruthless fashion jungle, cemented her as one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses. So when the announcement came that The Devil Wears Prada 2 was finally in the works, fans across the globe lit up with excitement. Social media buzzed with speculation. What will the sequel be about? Where will the characters be now? And most importantly, how will Anne Hathaway step back into Andy's fashionable shoes after all these years? The anticipation was sky high. The production set itself was already a hive of excitement. Imagine racks of designer clothes, assistants rushing with garment bags, stylists adjusting every detail, directors preparing for what could be one of the biggest sequels of the decade. Every second counted, every detail mattered. And in the middle of this high-pressure environment stood Anne Hathaway, experienced, graceful, and more comfortable than ever in front of the camera. But as we all know, life has a way of sneaking in a little chaos just when things seem perfect. During one particular scene, and was dressed head to toe in an outfit that screamed runway chic, towering heels, sleek lines, and an elegance that only she could pull off. The crew was ready, the cameras were perfectly framed, and the atmosphere was buzzing with energy. Then it happened. In the blink of an eye, Anne's heel caught on a piece of the set floor, and she stumbled forward. For that split second, time seemed to freeze. The crew gasped. Extras broke character. Even the director leaned forward in his chair. It wasn't just a small wobble, it was a dramatic, head-turning moment that could have shaken even the most seasoned star. Now, for most people, tripping in front of dozens of cameras and crew members would be a nightmare. Embarrassment would set in, the mood would drop, and the scene would need to be reset. But Anne Hathaway? She had something different in mind. She turned what could have been an awkward slip into a moment of pure magic, and her reaction was nothing short of legendary. And here's where the story takes a turn. Because what Anne did next not only had the crew bursting into laughter, but also set the internet ablaze when the behind-the-scenes clip made its way online. Her response proved once again why she isn't just an actress, but a star who knows how to turn any moment, even a fall, into something unforgettable. This was no ordinary slip. This was the beginning of a viral moment that reminded everyone why Anne Hathaway remains one of the most loved personalities in Hollywood. Asterisk, the moment was set. The studio lights bounced off every reflective surface. The room humming with that rare electricity you only feel on a big production. Extras in perfectly curated outfits strolled back and forth, giving the illusion of a bustling fashion office. Cameras glided silently on tracks. Crew members whispered directions like a secret language only they understood. And right at the center of it all was Anne Hathaway. Stepping into the spotlight once again as Andy Sachs, she looked every bit the modern fashion powerhouse. Dressed in a tailored coat that swept elegantly behind her, heels clicking sharply against the polished floor, and hair styled with a kind of effortless chic that can only be achieved with a team of stylists working overtime. Everything about the moment screamed perfection till the universe decided it was time to remind everyone that even the most graceful star is still human. It happened so fast that even the sharpest eye on set almost missed the beginning of it. As Anne walked forward with her trademark confidence, her heels snagged against an uneven piece of flooring. For a single heartbeat, her balance shifted. Her arms moved slightly in instinctive attempt to steady herself, but gravity had other plans. With a sudden stumble, Anne's body tilted forward, sending her into what looked like a slow-motion tumble. The sound of the stumble echoed heels, clattering awkwardly against the ground, fabric swishing, a gasp from one of the background actors who forgot they weren't supposed to break character. The crew collectively held their breath. It was as if the entire set had frozen in that one instant, waiting to see what would happen next. And here's the thing. This wasn't just a small misstep that could easily be ignored. No, this was a fall that demanded attention. Kind of stumble where you almost expect dramatic music to swell in the background. Anne's hands brushed against a nearby desk for support. A script supervisor dropped her pen, and a makeup artist actually covered her mouth in shock. Even the director, who had seen countless bloopers in his career, leaned forward in his chair with a wide-eyed look that screamed, "Is this really happening?" For the audience watching later on, the video clip had that surreal quality of being both painful and hilarious at the same time. On the one hand, you couldn't help but wince as the actress known for her elegance came crashing down in such an unglamorous way. On the other hand, there was something undeniably funny about the sheer drama of it all. After all, this was the set of the Devil Wears Prada 2, a movie known for its razor-sharp wit and high-fashion chaos. Could there have been a more fitting backdrop for such a scene? And yet, the fall wasn't the end of the moment. It was only the beginning. What made this incident unforgettable wasn't the stumble itself, but what happened after. The crew braced themselves for what they thought would be an awkward pause. A cut and a long moment of silence as Anne dusted herself off. But instead, what followed left everyone laughing, clapping, and eventually turning the moment into an instant classic. The silence that followed the fall lasted barely a second. But in that second, the tension was so thick it felt like hours. Everyone's eyes were on her. How would Anne Hathaway react? Would she be embarrassed? Would she retreat? Or would she, in true star fashion, find a way to turn a clumsy accident into something bigger than the mistake itself? The answer was about to arrive, and it would prove why this fall wasn't a blooper to be edited out, but a viral sensation that captured the hearts of fans all around the world. Asterisk, for one fleeting second, the set was silent. You could almost hear the buzzing of the lights overhead and the faint rustle of clothing as people shifted nervously in place. Dozens of eyes stayed locked on Anne Hathaway. This was the moment that could have gone in two directions: embarrassment or brilliance. And if there's one thing Anne has mastered over her career, it's the ability to take control of a moment and turn it into pure magic. Before anyone could rush to her side, Anne did what no one expected. She burst out laughing, not a forced, nervous chuckle, but a rich, genuine laugh that filled the studio like a soundtrack written for that very scene. It was as though she had instantly transformed the accident into a comedy bit, inviting everyone else to laugh with her instead of at her. The tension cracked like glass, and the crew erupted into laughter. What had been an awkward stumble, eh? Second ago was now a shared joke, a moment of humanity that felt oddly perfect. And then, with a timing so sharp it felt scripted, Anne delivered the line that would ignite the internet, Miranda would say. That's all, her voice carried. That familiar tone. Channeling Meryl Streep's icy Miranda Priestley with flawless mimicry, the crew roared. Extras clapped. Even the director buried his face in his hands, laughing so hard he had to reset his notes. Anne had taken the fall and turned it into an improvised scene straight out of The Devil Wears Prada. What makes her response so epic isn't just the humor, it's the confidence behind it. In an industry where mistakes can feel like failures and perfection is the goal, Anne reminded everyone that vulnerability, grace, were far more memorable than flawlessness. By owning the fall, instead of hiding from it, she gave the world a reminder that even in high heels and high fashion, authenticity always wins. Within minutes, word spread across the set. Crew members who weren't even in the room came rushing in, asking, "What just happened?" Someone replayed the moment on their phone, and soon it was looping on tiny screens as people laughed between takes. The vibe of the entire production. Shifted. It was lighter, looser, filled with a sense of joy that no one had expected to come from a clumsy trip. And then came the social media explosion. A background extra with quick reflexes had recorded the fall and her flawless comeback. By the end of the day, the clip was online. By the next morning, it had gone viral. Fans shared it with captions like, "This is why Anne Hathaway is queen, and only she could turn a fall into an Oscar-worthy performance." Memes popped up everywhere, showing an in-mid stumble with Miranda Priestly captions hovering over her like divine judgment. Even celebrities chimed in. A fellow actress tweeted, "If I fell like that, I'd never show my face again." Anne Hathaway turns it into a moment for the history books. Fans on TikTok recreated the moment, tripping in their own high heels and mouthing Anne's improvised "That's all." Became more than a behind-the-scenes blooper, it became a cultural event. But perhaps the most powerful part of her response wasn't the joke or the laughter, it was the message it sent. Anne Hathaway proved that falling down doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rise, how you respond, and how you turn the unexpected into something unforgettable. On a set filled with designer clothes, dazzling lights, and carefully scripted lines, Anne's unplanned, authentic moment stood out as the most real and relatable thing of all. The incident reminded everyone of the character she once played. Andy Sachs was clumsy, a little out of place in the high-fashion world, but resilient and strong enough to keep going. In a strange way, Anne Hathaway wasn't just playing Andy in that moment. She was Andy, tripping in her Prada heels, laughing it off, and moving forward with style. Life imitated art, and art imitated life, all in a single stumble. And so, the fall that could have been forgotten as a blooper became a legend. Anne Hathaway didn't just hit the floor that day, landed squarely in the hearts of millions, reminding us all why she remains one of Hollywood's brightest stars. Asterisk, when the laughter finally died down on set, something special lingered in the air. It wasn't just the humor of the moment, or the relief that Anne had brushed off what could have been a career viral embarrassment. It was the energy she left behind, the kind of contagious joy that only comes when someone flips a mistake into a masterpiece. That day, the fall wasn't an accident. It was a gift, not just to the crew, but to every fan waiting eagerly for The Devil Wears Prada 2. Because if you think about it, the original film was never just about fashion. It was about resilience, about learning to navigate a world where perfection is demanded, but imperfection is inevitable. Andy Sachs didn't start as a polished assistant. She stumbled, she fumbled, and she made mistakes. But she grew, and in the end, she earned her place in one of the fiercest industries on earth. And here we are, nearly 2 decades later, watching Anne Hathaway stumble again, but this time in real life, showing us that growth isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise, and how you laugh along the way. The beauty of Anne's response lies in its honesty. She didn't pretend. The fall didn't happen. She didn't ask for a cut or for the footage to be erased. She embraced it. She leaned into it. And by doing so, she reminded us that the moments we try hardest to hide are often the ones that connect us most to others. In a world where celebrity culture can feel untouchable, Anne gave us something rare, a glimpse of vulnerability wrapped in humor. A star who showed us that even under the brightest lights, she's human too. And let's not forget the timing of this couldn't be more perfect. Fans are already on edge waiting for the release of The Devil Wears Prada 2. Every leaked photo from the set, every whispered rumor about the storyline sends social media into a frenzy. And now, with Anne Hathaway's viral fall, the buzz has only multiplied. If the behind-the-scenes moments are this entertaining, imagine what the final film will deliver. The excitement is bigger than just one stumble. It's about nostalgia colliding with the present. It's about an actress who has spent years proving her range: romantic comedies, dramatic thrillers, even musicals coming full circle to revisit the role that launched her into superstardom. And in the process, showing us that she's not only grown as an actress, but as a woman who knows how to own her story, no matter what happens along the way, as fans. We love polished red carpets and picture-perfect movie scenes, but what we love even more are these unscripted flashes of reality, the bloopers that reveal the heart behind the glamour. And this fall, this laugh, this iconic comeback line, it wasn't just entertainment. It was a reminder of why Anne Hathaway remains one of the most admired stars in Hollywood, because she's both larger than life and deeply relatable all at once. So what's the takeaway here? Maybe it's that mistakes aren't the end of the story. Maybe it's that we should all learn to laugh a little more when life trips us up. Or maybe it's just that Anne Hathaway knows exactly how to keep us hooked on screen, off screen, and everywhere in between. Either way, one thing is clear. The Devil Wears Prada 2 isn't just a sequel. It's shaping up to be a cultural moment. And if Anne Hathaway's epic response to a fall on set is any clue, we're in for a movie filled with wit, drama, and unforgettable surprises. So here's your call to action. Stay tuned. Follow every update, every leak, every teaser. Because if this viral moment taught us anything, it's that Anne Hathaway and The Devil Wears Prada 2 are about to give us something iconic. And trust me, you won't want to miss a second of it. After all, as Miranda Priestly would say, that's all.